Welcome to r/RedditRevenge. This is a story of someone getting back at someone with revenge after being wronged. Thank you friends for subscribing to the channel, and for so many likes. The first story, OP renting a room from two friends, one of whom is very inconsiderate. They get revenge by throwing the microphone into the creek. The second story, Airbnb owner's condo lacked maintenance and prohibited short-term rental. Guests left bad review and reported owner's instructions to property management, leading to consequences. The third story, new spa manager tries to eliminate sick leave, leading to firings. Employees find new jobs, refer former colleagues. Old spa suffers staffing shortage, manager let go. Today's first story is, keep me awake all the time knowing I work early in the morning, kiss your mic goodbye. Before I begin, I want it on record I'm usually very much against littering and illegal dumping. We must all do our part to keep our communities clean and tidy. Now that's out of the way, I've been living with friends the past 4 to 5 months during the work week because my actual house is quite far from where I work. The transit in my town sucks, and I can't get a bus out from where I am early enough in the morning. The living arrangement is less than ideal. It's a small 2-bedroom apartment, and each of the bedrooms was already occupied before I moved in. My two friends I shall refer to as Jay and Randy for the sake of this story. Jay is the owner of the apartment. His name is on the lease. Randy was simply a mutual friend. Jay was actually the one who got me my current job last December, and he's been letting me stay at his place just 4 nights a week when I have to work. I pay him a modest $20 a day, and I'm very grateful to him for the job and place to sleep. Jay is a very nice guy. In the time I've gotten to know him since meeting him 7 months ago, I've learned, however, that Randy is a piece of SH. I don't know what his mental handicaps are or why he behaves the way he does, but I've never known a more selfish, inconsiderate, and immature a-hole all my life. For example, Randy has a gambling addiction and has frequently left Jay to cover all general living expenses for the both of them because Randy gambled all his money away. Being late with rent or short is nearly a monthly problem for him. He has no problem mooching off others and has already burnt many bridges. In the few months he and Jay have lived together, Jay has paid for many of his meals among other things alongside frequently having to take care of the rent and other bills by himself. Jay is too nice to kick him out, and in spite of Randy's many temper tantrums, they've remained friends. Since I've been living there, being woken up between 11 p.m. and sunrise by Randy has been an ongoing problem. He works graveyard hours and is usually awake all night, even on his days off, which in itself isn't a problem if he showed a little consideration for the guy, me, trying to sleep in Jay's bedroom. However, the noise of his TV, phone calls, and piano playing have been a constant problem for months. I've tried speaking to Randy about it, and he was dismissive, telling me I can leave or put earplugs in if I have a problem. I've tried speaking to Jay about it, and he's attempted to be a mediator for us. However, he ultimately cannot control Randy's behavior, so the problem has persisted. I've become very tired of being exhausted all day at work 1 to 3 days, every week, because Randy is an inconsiderate a-hole. Things came to a head last night. Randy had the night off and went out drinking with a friend. They came home around 1 a.m. after all the bars closed. On the keyboard, Randy went for some impromptu late-night karaoke. I'm awakened yet again in spite of the fact I've only slept 2 to 3 hours by that point and have to be up for work at 6 a.m. I came out and attempted to ask Randy to turn the volume on his keyboard down. His response, "Oh, you can just F off." I'll admit this really annoyed me. I lost my temper and called him a rude name. I informed him he was a fat little pea and asked him to repeat himself as the music was too loud to hear over. His response was to then throw his drink at me. Luckily, Jay happened to be home seated right beside him on the chair and tried to deflect it out of the air. Had he not, the can probably would have hit me in the face instead of my chest. Jay's a nice guy. I can't remember the exchange after that. I immediately went to the shower and Jay told Randy he and his friend better leave. Jay was not happy, and he had to clean the spilled cider off the floor and TV behind me. They left. I ranted to Jay for a few minutes before going back to bed. All night I was kept awake with my own thoughts, thinking about what my next step would be. I decided it isn't worth living like this and collected my things in my bag early this morning. When Jay woke up, I explained to him I'd be moving back to my home with family and suffer the commute to work until I find myself another job. He apologized and we promised to stay in touch. We hugged before he had to get in the shower and start getting ready for work himself. When he went to the bathroom, I analyzed Randy's keyboard and contemplated my revenge. I didn't want to destroy his expensive keyboard, just F with it a little somehow. I couldn't make it too obvious. It had to be something he couldn't press charges with law enforcement over. I thought about cracking eggs over it or something, but knowing Jay, he'd see it before Randy got home and clean it up to keep the peace. My attention turned to the microphone on the stand above the piano. I detached it, opened the sliding door to the balcony, and threw it down into the creek behind their building. I watched it float for a couple feet before going under as the current took it away. I texted Jay about it immediately after I left. He gave me an LOL and told me he didn't just read that. He suggested Randy was so drunk last night while he was throwing SH around, who knows what he did with his mic. He probably threw it off the balcony himself for all we know. Jay didn't see anything because he was too busy cleaning cider off the TV, wall, and floor from Randy's tantrum. I was in the shower and then went to bed, so I definitely didn't touch it. The second story is illegal Airbnb owner too cheap to fix issues. I want to note that I hate Airbnb, and I think a majority of the hosts have no business being hosts. I've had some bad experiences and avoided using them in the past 4 years. Someone gifted me an Airbnb gift card, and I had it in my possession for over 2 years. I thought, okay, it's been 4 years, wounds heal and maybe I can try it again, and finally use this gift card. Also, I'm not a Karen, and I rarely leave bad reviews. Normally, I try to be very understanding of situations and not vengeful, but this experience had too many issues for me to ignore. I planned a vacation to Canada and found a listing. It was a condo, 4.5-star rating, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. Price seemed okay, and it had a designated underground parking space available for our car rental. I booked the place and didn't think much of it. 3 days before my reservation, the owner sends me instructions on how to access his place, the parking garage, etc. There is a note in his instructions. The property does not permit short-term rentals like Airbnb, and if anyone asks, I should lie and say I'm staying for a month. Okay, whatever shady stuff you want to do, fine with me, as long as I don't get into any trouble here. I had no problems locating the condo and letting myself in using the instructions provided. However, there was a slew of other problems that I don't think I should have had to deal with. The underground garage key button did not work though, and cars would come in and out of the underground parking. No matter what I pressed on the garage key, it wouldn't work. I messaged the owner who said try this, try that, get closer. I fiddled with this thing for an hour. I ended up parking on the street, but that was permitted for overnight parking. Overall, I spent like 3 hours on this dumb garage key issue during the whole trip. His solutions were, go replace the battery on the garage key button, but I didn't have a screw to free the battery from inside the garage key. I was also a bit annoyed that I had to spend my vacation time fixing an issue with his garage key. He would send someone over. Well, that person never came and he changed his mind 4 hours later to send someone. He suggested I park in a paid parking lot, a one-way 15-minute walk away from the condo. I would have to spend 30 minutes a day walking to and from my vehicle. He would pay for parking but nothing else. I suggested he pay for Uber each day or give me a discount for the time I'm losing each day, but he wouldn't. A big reason I booked this Airbnb was because of the parking spot. 2. Why am I paying a cleaning fee? The condo was not clean. Just the toilet was clean, I think, and the floor was swept. The carpet floors had human hair all over it, gathering up around the corners. And around the bed. The beds were made, but the bed sheets were not washed. You can smell body odors on it. There was a washer and dryer in the condo, so we threw all the bed sheets, pillow covers, and towels into the wash. It took about 4 hours to get through all that laundry. 3. The TV that sits on a TV stand was flimsy and broken. If you put any weight on the side of the TV stand, the top portion of it will dislodge, and the TV will topple over. Which it did, and a 15-year-old flat TV screen was broken. I took responsibility and replaced it with a brand new one. He was fine with that. I didn't blame him, but did inform him the stand was broken and sent him a video of it. He said he sees nothing wrong with it. 4. While I was replacing the TV, I also took the garage key with me and replaced the battery. The garage key still doesn't work. I sent him the receipt for the battery purchase and my PayPal information. I had to message him 3 times until he randomly sent me a wire using Canada banks that I couldn't accept, and I couldn't accept the money because I have a US bank. He was just like, too bad. I had to take it up with Airbnb, who reimbursed me. After all that, the Airbnb host said his cleaning lady tried the garage key, and she was able to get it to work by standing really close to the garage hub box. I'm not sure what it's called. I don't see the point in him saying that, but whatever. I left him a bad review on Airbnb, but I just didn't think it was enough. Here comes my revenge. I remembered on the first day of my stay, someone knocked on our door and asked who we were. I lied according to the host instructions that we were visiting from out of town and staying a month. I looked up the property management company of that building and emailed them. I informed them of his instructions to lie, shared the Airbnb listing link, and specified what unit it was. I got a response a few days later, and the property management said it was unacceptable, and they'll be speaking to the owner. I'm not sure what the outcome is. I'll check in a few weeks to see if the listing is still up. Update. I did it, and I destroyed his business. The last story is, After Me, the Deluge. Many years ago, I worked at a fancy spa in a large mid-Atlantic city, doing massage and scrubs and body treatments and the like. The place was actually well run for a long time. Then they brought in a new manager. This guy had never worked in the spa world before. He only knew business, and his immediate goal was to make us bring in more bucks, despite the fact we'd been doing quite well already. Now, that summer we had more customers than we could handle. The bottleneck for making more profit wasn't the customers but the staff. The spa couldn't book more treatments than they had the staff to provide. So in order to maximize the therapist's time on duty, this guy decided that we couldn't take sick leave anymore without a doctor's note. Supposedly that would keep us from abusing the privilege, which by the way absolutely nobody had been doing. Remember the part where he didn't know a thing about the spa industry? Massage therapists were licensed in that state, and the licensing regulations were pretty strict. One of the rules held, quite reasonably, that we weren't allowed to go to work when we had any realistic likelihood of being contagious with anything, because it might get passed to our client. Not okay. So 3 of us go to talk to him and point out that the new plan won't work. Doctors in our area will not see a patient just to get a note for work. They don't like to have their time taken up by cases that don't actually need a doctor. So we'd basically have to break the law and risk our licenses, to obey his rule, going in when we had a minor cold or something which was probably contagious, but not severe enough for the doctor to see us. None of us were about to do that. We'd rather get fired from one job for calling in sick without a note than lose our licenses for good, and never be able to work in the industry again. He didn't like that news one bit. He dropped the new rule, but he found excuses to fire all 3 of us within only a few weeks. I wasn't too unhappy. Aside from the sting of not deserving it, spa employees are always in demand, and I found a new job a week later with a different spa that was opening up a new branch, which meant that they needed a lot more new employees than just me. Hey guys, I contacted my friends back at the previous workplace, most of whom were getting as peeved off by this clown as I was. Let them know that the new place was a lot of fun, and by the way, they're hiring most eagerly. Want to come work with me again? No fewer than 5 of the staff from the old place signed on with my new spa, as well as one of the 2 who had already been fired along with me. The 7 of us were very happy there. I got referral bonuses that almost equaled my pay for that first month, and my new boss was thrilled with me for bringing her a third of her new crew. Meantime, the guy who had been trying to cheese pair us out of legitimate sick time and the risk of our licenses, just in order to ensure that he had enough therapists on any given shift to meet demand, was left with far too few therapists to cover the customers, who were demanding appointments, not to mention having to explain where their favorite staff had all disappeared to. According to industry rumor, he was out within 6 months. I stayed at the other spa I'd moved to for 5 good years. I hope you enjoyed these stories. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Have a good day.